So let's get started here. We're looking at the pound dollar daily chart. Pound dollar is one of those that took a beating over many, many months and is actually trying to make some steps toward recovery now. Now, if we didn't already know that from just being traders and being a part of the news, obviously that's here written in the chart, right? Every black candle's a sell, every white candle's a buy. You can see here that we definitely have higher or lower highs and lower lows all along this channel right in here. What's been going on recently is we had a couple of things in here tell us that this trend was tiring out a little bit. For starters, it's been going on for a very long time, and the market likes to correct itself. So even in a context where price has been going directionally for a very long time, even if it's not going to completely pull back, pauses are normal, right? We have tendency to kind of see things consolidate and go sideways as a sort of pause in the game, or resetting the game, as I call it. We do have some levels here on the on the daily chart that are significant. This one was recently touched up here. When this price left this area of indecision in here with such enthusiasm that it didn't look back, it left this price level at 1.5328 untouched. It didn't retest it, which is not typical when something leaves an area of indecision. Generally what happens is you get an area of indecision, a decision made by the marketplace. It'll come up and tap that area again, and then go further on down. So for starters, the fact that we had an area that was not touched is always significant in my mind. I like to label those as just retracement levels, areas that I expect the market to return to at some point. Now, that is a very counter-trend idea. I'm generally better in trending conditions for my trading style, but I would like to keep those in mind, because as things start getting tired out, and as we start to see rejection of support, look at this huge shadow down here, rejection of support on this day, It tried to pull up, it came back, and even though it came back short, it rejected support again. We had some good enthusiasm up to that price point. That price point has been retested now. So I can actually take that label off. Okay, so what I do have above here, though, even though this level has been retested, you can see that here at 155.60 is a significant level of support and resistance, where this area of indecision did respect that area for quite a long time. And not only that, but it did go back and retest it. Once it stopped using it as support, it went back and used it as resistance. So if I have an analysis that gives me a bias to the long side on this pair, that's going to be my next profit target. Doesn't that make sense? An area that the market was fond of before is likely to become an area that the market is fond of again. What we do have now that we've talked about this larger context on the pound dollar, downtrend, retracement, area of indecision, consolidation, all of that. Once we look at this on a 4-hour chart, we're going to see much more definitively that actually in this most recent price action, we've been getting higher highs and higher lows. Is this the potential for a new uptrend? Is this what we're seeing now as the beginning of the next wave of this pair? And could it be counter trend? Could it then become an uptrend up to that point? At this point, we don't know. Really, honestly, at any point, we don't know, right? At any point, anything in the marketplace is anybody's best guess, and that's what makes this business so difficult. That's what makes trading so risky. But what we can do as we come down to our lower time frame is we can take a look and see what price is doing on this lower time frame. So we've identified our higher highs and our higher lows within the context of a downtrend, right? So my immediate bias as a trend trader is to the downside. I'm not going to ignore the upside. I don't mind playing the pullbacks, but that creates a bias for me on a support and resistance, from a support and resistance perspective. What I have here on the 4-hour chart, remember we talked about those areas that have not been retested. It came up, made a new higher high. Lots of indecision on this short. Right at the beginning, the market was really not that decided. You can see here we got this candle here was fairly decided. But immediately we've got small bodies, long wicks, long shadows. You don't have to know anything about candle patterns to understand that this is indecision in the marketplace. The buyers and the sellers are wrestling for control over the pair. Nobody is really entirely sure which direction this is going to go. we did slowly start to build some selling pressure here, or buying of the dollar, right? We did start to see that. And as it picked up and broke this level of previous resistance, it did not treat it as support and in fact broke through. What did it not do? It didn't retest, right? So we have an area in here that is a retracement level. That's going to become significant to me, because if I see bounce-like behavior, and we've actually already seen that trigger here, coming off of this support, that's going to make a reasonable profit target to be able to hit. Not only is it nice that we have an area that hasn't been retested within this context, but we are talking about a counter trend trade, right? We're going counter to the downtrend we identified on the daily chart. So anything we're going to do counter to that, we want to be able to get a nice close profit target and not get too exuberant about the ultimate extremes. Those are going to be harder to get to when we're going against the trend. Not impossible, not unlikely, especially when they haven't been tested or retested. But those become more probable when they're closer to the middle of the range. So what we're seeing here now on this support rejection in here, we do have, you can see a longer shadow here indicating some rejection of that support. We also have, oops, I just moved my little channel there. We also have the fact that it popped up here and came back down and is rejecting right near these bodies. Let's put a line on there and see how close that wick came. Right near these bodies, a similar area of secondary support right in here. You can see this little upside down head and shoulders in here. You can see this wick nearly came down and touched it. So this is actually, even though it doesn't come down and hit the same level horizontally, it's a significant signal still, isn't it? Because price has tried to come down and has rejected support one more time. This could potentially be on a 1 hour chart, something that looks like a double bottom.